Good evening, people. Good evening. And welcome to the uncomfortable truth. Now, first things first, like, subscribe, and share to all your friends because we want to grow the platform and get everyone talking about these uncomfortable topics that you don't want to talk about. Now, first things first, shout out to our sponsors, Cop It and Check It. The links are down below and go check them out. So it's this week, our topic, Arteta versus Emery. Were Arsenal really wrong to sack Emery after such a short time? Is Arteta really an improvement 2.5 years on? Now, first, I want to talk about Emery's time at Arsenal. So he only had about 1.5 seasons there, actually. It's actually quite a short time there. And in his first season, didn't only made a Europa League spot, but he did make the Europa League final as well, in which they were fighting against a very good Chelsea side with a Hazard that was in incredible form, absolutely incredible form. And they ended up just getting absolutely wiped. It was one of the most shocking things. Ironically, they still scored the best goal of the whole game, but they got absolutely wiped. And then from there, it just went from bad to worse. The whole summer, they were closely linked to Zaha. The deal was nearly done, and then things sort of left last minute. And now they've bought Pepe from France, and then everyone's confused. The whole the whole issues with transfer people. Apparently, it was a whole fraudulent deal, and then the season starts off horribly. It's a horrid start to the season. I'm pretty sure I think from the first few games, he only got about 18 points from a few games. It was actually a horrible start. And then he's sacked quite early on, sacked in November, which is a very early sacking. Now, I want to ask you, Jinky, his time at Arsenal, do you think he should have been sacked at that time, or do you think that they maybe should have held on a bit? Maybe he was building something, or was he just not going to do anything, or was it just going downhill for him?
For me personally, when I look at the Emery time at Arsenal, I kind of look at Arsenal fans as being a bit spoiled. You know, they hounded, because you've got to talk about the past to understand Emery and the time there. The fans hounded, or a big portion of the fans hounded out Wenger, and this rinse repeat, fourth, doing fuck all in Champions League, fourth, and then when it came to them getting fifth, obviously Wenger went. Emery comes in and pretty much maintains what was going on at Arsenal. And I think given where the club are at in terms of their board, the structure, the lack of real financial power, because they were restricted from a finance point of view with sponsors and everything. They had problems trying to get rid of players in terms of the wages. I think he actually did a pretty good job. And for a struggling team with a poor mentality, a weak mentality, brittle, to get them to maintain what they did under Wenger, who was there for a very, very long time, and to then get them into a European final, I think is actually a very decent effort. I think the problem is London banter tax came into it. They did get embarrassed by Chelsea. Emery wasn't a particularly sexy name in the grand scheme of things of European football. And it's all about the PR. You know, he struggled with that. Fans would like to take the piss out of him. You introduced it. Good evening. He was a meme, and fans don't want that. They don't want to be bantered. We know how sensitive Arsenal fans' souls are when it comes to banter. They can't take it. They can't take it. That's why they get so giddy, like yesterday and this whole week with the Man United Arsenal game. He's been fine. Look, from a Man United fan perspective, looking at Arsenal and comparing the two, when Sir Alex Ferguson left and David Moyes came in, United went from being champions to finishing seventh, sixth, seventh, and that's a huge drop. That's a huge drop for a big club. That's a huge drop. Now Arsenal, I'm not going to be disingenuous. Arsenal are a little club or anything like that. Of course, they're a big club, but he maintained it. He didn't drop from 5th to 12th or anything like that. He maintained it. But then the problem was he was kind of left exposed after that Europa League final. And then what would happen is individuals would make absolutely horrendous mistakes, which, to be perfectly honest, hasn't changed at Arsenal.
Yep.
I still think tactically there is something there. And actually, I kind of feel Arteta and Emery, you know, in terms of how they treat games, is very pragmatic, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the difference is in the fact everyone's got pep tax to back him up, support him, and that's an Arsenal legend stuff. So that's Emery. But he should have been given more time. But then you have at the end of the day, for a match day going fan, if you're a season ticket holder at the Emirates, you have that feeling, don't you? You feel like sometimes something isn't quite right. So it'd be good to hear Arsenal fans, you know, who are listening in, or if it's from Twitter or on YouTube. And I'd love you guys to call in and actually say, what was that feeling? Take agendas out, take the banter, take the memes out of it. I want to know what the feeling was in the ground. Because I feel that from a tactical footballing point of view, it feels no different to Arteta at this point. I just feel like one's given more of a chance to do what they want to do over the other.
Yeah, for me, I think what Arsenal fans have this issue that they do not realize the level of their players, and they always think that their players are a lot better than what they actually are. United fans also have a similar issue with gassing certain players to a higher degree, but this was bad. Like, they really thought that like some of these players were supposed to do something to win that final. Granted, this is a club with no pedigree in Europe, zero pedigree in Europe, and you expected to win against a team that literally won the Champions League one season, then the next season won the Europa League right afterwards.
Yeah.
This is a team that has literally been solidly in European football, has had a base, making finals, semi-finals consistently for like the past 10 years. They hadn't been in a European final in like 15 years by that point. Like, there was a massive gulf in that game, and there was a gulf in quality of the players. Yes, aubameyang and Lacazette were very good that season, but you had players that were declining, like Ozil. Ozil was going down bad. Kolasinac was never really that good. You had Monreal and Koscielny that were declining. Petr Cech as well, declining as well. And like, I don't know what they expected Emery to actually do and win that game against literally one of the best versions of Hazard we have seen. A Giroud who had a point to prove. Pedro, yes, he was declining, but it was still a very good player. It was just a much better team they were up against. Yeah. And to lose in that final was not even on him, because tactically they were set up correctly. Like, they just actually beaten them earlier, not long ago in that season. So like, it was there. It's just that when you've got players that aren't built to be in these places, these are players that don't know about finals, don't know how to get over that line, and you put them out there to now try and like go up against a juggernaut in Europe. It was never going to end well for them, which I think was just not on him.
Well, we know when it comes to Chelsea, they can throw managers under the bus, but at the same time, they can play when they want to play.
Yeah.
And that shows why every 2 seasons they're always winning trophies. As I said, they've got that mentality. What Arsenal have had for a number of years, along with the other chumps in North London, is the North London bottle syndrome, man. Like these guys don't know what it takes. These guys don't know what it takes. Even this season, I'm not being funny. You still see the same mentality where I feel like barring this last week, they just keep want to throw games and everything like that. We'll see more twists and turns this one. But
like you start with that, and then you go into the next season, and you're thinking about their transfers. That whole transfer saga was like that whole summer was a saga of mess. Danny Ceballos, who'd been the invisible man, the Beyblade for like the past two seasons. Like the guy had literally one game where he got 3 assists and he hadn't done anything since. He's now brought back again on loan to do what? To actually do what? You have the Pepe deal, a player that like I've personally never seen a player like a player like Pepe that Emery would appreciate. Like he just doesn't. He wouldn't want a player like Pepe at all. And so I was just really confused in that. And obviously Pepe hasn't worked out. Whether it's his fault, whether it's the manager's fault, etc., etc. That's his own issue. But these are players that the manager is not looking to get and is not looking to actually like go with. And then the first few games of that season weren't actually were hard games. They had a hard start. They were going up against I think that the North London derby against the Spurs, who just reached the Champions League final. They had a game against Liverpool. Games against teams that were like bogey teams for them.
Yeah.
And like they had like United games. They had like that shit. I'm pretty sure they had Sheffield, who were somehow stealing 1-0 wins from everyone that season from like incredible defensive work. And like now he's getting the blame for actually a really bad patch start to the season, based on the game, based on a squad that isn't good enough really to compete on any level, and also like a hard run of fixtures. So for him to get sacked was absolute insanity. I think it's also the fact that Wenger played really attractive football. Even if you're not winning trophies, you knew that Wenger was going to have the saucy ball. Like you always had Arsenal fans saying, "Oh, we have the best football in the Premier League. No Champions League to back it up, though. No trophies to back it up. But we have the best football. We have the best football." And then Emery, who's quite a defensive manager, they're not really going to like that. He's defensive, but he's very, very effective. So then now I'm thinking that's a bit crazy. Like, how do you sack a manager who's actually proven to win in Europe? Something that he has more championships in Europe than your club has in their entire history, and you've now sacked him. The guy's won league titles as well. It's not like he's an absolute like crap manager. He's got some pedigree to him, and you just sack him off without really giving him a chance. 1.5 years is not enough time to do anything really. Like I think that whole saga was just. It was a mess, really, just absolute mess from Arsenal.
Yeah, as I said, I feel the narrative was, I think it's spot on in terms of that comparison, in terms of Wenger and Emery. In terms of the transfers, Danny Ceballos, I think he had one good game, first game of the season. I think that might be in West Ham. Never saw him again. David Luiz, he's Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolates. You literally don't know what you're going to get with that guy. He could be Wildy, he could be an absolute pony. It's just you just don't know. Pepe had to acclimatise, but let's be honest, he is a free kick merchant. I'm not even a good one at that. So that just kind of left really Tierney and and Saliba, wasn't it? In terms of, he didn't even play.
Yeah. Tini
he
like was injured.
yeah.
He wasn't even there. You still had Kolasinac, who's a questionable player at best.
Yeah. So I think realistically, you had Martinelli, and even then Martinelli was probably just like what highlight. And I think even then he probably was more under Arteta at that point. So
Yeah.
so yeah, in terms of the transfers, what was it like over 100 or million was certainly spent. How David Luiz and Pepe.
Incredible summer, some would say. Incredible summer. Like I don't know. Awful window. Awful window.
But it is, as I said, like football's turned into this thing now where it's all about fashion. It's all about the PR.
Yeah.
As long as you look sexy, as long as you can be profiled in a certain way, that's what it's all about. And if fans don't get who the fad is at that point,
Mm.
the people turn on you. People turn on you.
Yep.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
So unless your name is Conte, unless your name is Luis Enrique, Pep and Klopp aren't going to go anywhere. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
Nagelsmann, these. I'm just saying that these guys have the club. You even seen the PR right now in this moment in time. Pochettino's at PSG. There's no talks of him being sacked or anything like that. But what's Sky Sports doing? They're talking about Poch as we speak. They're talking about Poch being, or how he should be the Manchester United manager when Eric Ten Hag has been picked. So again, it's all about perception. You got the PR train. Emery never had that. He never had that support. He never endeared himself to the media. And as I said, when he became a meme, it was far easier to play on that and call him the jester, if anything, than actually give him any credit, which was actually a manager who won back-to-back Europa Leagues.
Yeah.
Who won trophies at PSG. It's weird that he's a fool, yet Thomas Tuchel, who let's be honest, has done the same thing.
Who also lost to a very United side with youth and reserves. Let's not forget.
But and he was able to go. But the difference is that Chelsea gave the man respect.
Yeah.
Whether Chelsea fans bought into it, the ownership and everything that gave him that respect. The PR was actually, it's what's fashionable. What's fashionable in football at this moment in time? German managers.
For some reason.
So you have that part, but that's the thing. Emery never had that protection, so he was always doomed. He was always doomed.
Yeah. And like one thing that people don't mention that I would really like, that really does need to be pointed out, is the actual players and the way they treated Emery. And I would like some Arsenal fans maybe to come in and call in and actually explain to me like a bit more about the behind the scenes of what was going on, because
I'm gonna say they won't. I'm gonna say they won't because they're cowards. Arsenal fans are cowards. When it comes to hard truths and when it comes to their behaviours and how shit they were, they won't be present. They'll be present like yesterday and getting all giddy about the 4th place certificate, but they won't come on. They won't come on. I'll tell you this right now, right here, right now. They won't come on.
Right. Like I don't think they will either personally, but if someone does, I'll be shocked. But we had reports of players mocking Emery's accent and Emery's English because it wasn't perfect. I'm thinking, so what have any of you done to warrant that level, of disrespect? Like the only players that had really done anything in that team were Cech, Mustafi, who frauded a World Cup, and Ozil. You had Aubameyang, who, he did well in Germany. He never won a title in Germany. He won the German FA Cup. Okay, fine, but he didn't do like, he was a good player. He wasn't like the top name in Europe. Like these are players that really do not have any like real sway in football, but they're talking to a guy who's won more than them, as a manager. Like, which is like, that's just crazy to me. That's absolutely crazy to me that these people will feel they have the actual confidence to disrespect a manager who's done more than you. But a lot of these players that were complaining that even Emery was complaining about, and one of them was Aubameyang. Even though Aubameyang was scoring goals, there were reports of his attitude problems. He had this serve issues, that serve issues. A lot of these players that had these so-called issues still went on to have these so-called issues post Emery as well. So, like, was Emery really at fault there, or did he? I want to know? Did Emery actually do anything wrong himself, or was he just a victim of what was going on around him?
Well, that's just player power, isn't it? And to be honest, I'm not going to try and make a whole conversation piece about this, but the fact is, how's that not bigoted? Possibly even racist? Because if that was another player, if I was a footballer or anything like that, and that was being said and done, and you were taking the piss out of people's English because that's not their first language, what else would you call that? So can we not say it because it's Emery? Like what's going on there? That's just out and out disrespect and disgusting behaviour. So for me, those players should have just been sacked from the get-go. Well, how's that even remotely funny? But then that's the difference, isn't it? And I'm sure you'll tap into this when we talk about Arteta. One manager is allowed to get rid of players when they show disrespect to the club or the manager, or they try to undermine manager. The other one wasn't even afforded the luxury of doing it, because if they did, that player was still so important to the team, because what was the replacement? They had nothing. Arsenal were piss poor, absolutely piss poor. Yet, like Granit Xhaka, how many times did that guy throw Emery under the bus? This man got booed, for Christ's sake, at the Emirates. And who got scapegoated from that? Oh, Emery, because he happened to give him the armband. Well, it's weird that guy's still strutting around. So it's funny that Arsenal fans that you're celebrating this guy because he happened to score, his usual goal. Well, where's your consistency? Where's your energy compared to 2 seasons ago when you wanted him out? Absolute jokers.
I was hearing Xhaka out. I was hearing this player out, that player out. Oh, this player is good. He should stay. Or this player is our guy. Like, I was hearing, oh, Aubameyang's the guy. He needs to sign. We need to keep him on. He's the guy. He's the guy. Where's he now? Where's your so-called star player? Your new Henry. He's now gone to a better club to actually do more. And then you still have a lot of players that aren't gone. You still have Hector Bellerin. Hector Bellerin has just gone to win a trophy, actually, ironically. But doesn't mean the guy is good. The guy literally has spent how many years at Arsenal picking up a paycheck, sitting in the ER doing absolutely nothing. And he was still getting backed up until last season. Like that's just like really, really odd to me personally. And then I think that whole era of Arsenal was just a mess of transition after Wenger left, and they were thinking of something was going to happen that absolutely wasn't at all. And then he gets sacked. They had Freddie Ljungberg for a little bit. That whole saga was not good. Arsenal still looked shambolic. And then we start hearing reports of this guy who's been training to be a manager under Pep Guardiola. Another Spaniard. All the hype around tiki-taka football. This is the guy. Oh, he's part of the reason why City was so successful for years. All this hype, and then Arteta, the guy comes in. He'd never managed in any club previously, but somehow we were made to believe, yeah, this was the guy to take Arsenal to the next level.
Yeah,
this was the guy to now bring Arsenal back to being a top club in England and maybe even in Europe. And he starts off just as badly. And then everyone's thinking, wait, what's going on? Like, maybe we overhyped this guy. Maybe his guy wasn't the guy. And it actually starts off really awfully for him. And then now lockdown happened. And I'm telling you, for a lot of clubs, lockdown was a blessing. It was a true blessing. It was a blessing for Liverpool, who were starting to actually drop off at that point. They just lost to Watford as well. It was a blessing to United, that were riddled with injuries. It was going so awfully for them in the league, trying to scrape top four, but everything was just going against them. Player injuries, like so many games, it was just not good for them. And then afterwards, you've got like so many clubs that were just like looking to just call it off the season. It was not going well. Lockdown happens, and then Arteta comes out after lockdown with this new formation, this new style of football, and we now start seeing this 3-4-4-3 or 5-2-3, however you see it. It's an extremely defensive style of football, and it's been praised, and everyone's loving it. A very defensive sit-back style of football that's very foreign to fans. The same kind of defensive football that Emery was doing previously, just a little bit changed, but it was being praised. And then they go on to win the FA Cup, beating very good teams in the process, beating a very good Man City team and a Chelsea team which were kind of getting up there. They had a pretty good season. And then after that, we've now, and then since then, there's been ups and downs, relegation battles for them. And I want to know your thoughts on Arteta's time at Arsenal. He's especially the first two seasons, because this season's not quite over yet. So we can make some assumptions on future what might happen. But I'm focused on the first part of Arteta's Arsenal tenure, and how do you think it's gone for him? And is it anything different than what Emery would have actually done?
This man is lucky, yeah, and the fact that, what's his record? 8th and 8th,
yep,
and potentially could finish 4th. Well, let's look at why. Arsenal had 0 distractions in Europe this season. Is it any coincidence when they are in Europe, you finish 8th, no distractions, you finish 4th, and people want to get giddy and excited and call him Super Mick Arteta and all that crap? What has he actually done that is kind of beyond what Emery has done? Well, he's just been supported more. The football is still as defensive. I would probably say he might be better. Probably better defensively in terms of the Prem. I think the difference is that Arteta has been allowed, as I said earlier, he's been allowed to get rid of players who've undermined him. Guendouzi looked at him the wrong way in Dubai, never saw him again. This guy was prepared to basically play with very limited number of strikers and get rid of Aubameyang. Because Aubameyang didn't run for a few games. He went from pressing and running around, but clearly his Wolverine juice ran out and he stopped. So he got cast aside, went to Barcelona. This guy, when on earth would Emery be given that back in? What we're going to do, we're going to get rid of the best striker he's been one of the Premier League's top scorers, certainly up there in the top 5 consistently, and we're going to get rid of him. Would he have had that same backing? Absolutely not. So that's what the difference is. Now, we know that Arteta likes the defensive setup. So what's he get? He gets defenders. And those defenders have done all right. I said he excuse me, Leno was a problem for Arsenal. So he was allowed to get a new goalkeeper. He got a left back. He got a right back. He got a centre back.
He got two centre backs.
Yeah, he's able to rebuild, isn't he? You know what I mean? Like, that's a proper rebuild. And then you can get little supplementary players like Sambi Lokonga and everything like that, who, he's probably not going to be, integral to that first team at this moment in time, but he has been supplement. So they've been able to concentrate on things defensively, and the backing has been a bit more structured. Well, we went through the transfers with Emery. Just kind of felt a bit slapdash, just like, we need a plaster job here, there. And that was in keeping with what the Arsenal structure was, which is a joke, let's be honest. And to be honest, it's still a joke now. So I think he's been all right. I think him getting fourth place shouldn't be revered as much as Arsenal fans are making out. That is not being funny, that should be the bottom level for Arsenal fans. Fourth place, irrespective of who your manager is, who your squad is, anything like that. This is Arsenal FC. They should be, the bottom line should be fourth. And that shouldn't be celebrated. That should be a case of, okay, let's push on now. There should be no celebrations. Put away your fourth place certificate. Honest to God, cancel that bus parade. It's embarrassing. He hasn't been that much better. The real acid test will be next season. You've got a small team. He's got a small team with no distractions of Europe. What are you going to do this summer? You have to invest. So when they if they do get investment, I kind of want Arsenal to not in some ways. And that's not because of them being a rival. I just want to see how he handles it, playing 2 games a week with a small team. Because they will fall apart. You'll see the injuries. All it takes is a key player getting injured. If Gabriel gets injured, are they the same team? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. How many leaders does Arsenal really have? Because Gabriel's a great defender, by the way. Very underrated. I don't think he gets talked about enough. But if he's out, is Ben White the one that's going to lead? Rob Holding? Nah, sorry, I'm not buying that. I'm just not buying it. Tomiyasu's been decent. Kieran Tierney, I know there's a lot of banter when it comes to rival, that sort of thing, but he's a solid defender. But beyond that, what have they got? It's limited. It's limited. So the acid test for me is definitely next season. I don't think I'll be up for it. I think they'll be embarrassed in Europe. They might qualify at the group stages, but it'll be the last 16 stuff again. And Arsenal might finish 4th, 5th again, and it'll be just the same old brand new you.
Personally, I personally do not think that Arsenal should call this a good season by any means. By any means. Because the amount of luck that has gone into this season is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Firstly, you have the fact that the complete capitulation of Manchester United. No one on earth expected it to go this badly. No one was saying that we're going to finish like 8th or 7th or 6th. No one was thinking. Everyone at the start of the season, everyone said top 4 was already done. It's just who goes where. Everyone thought it was going to be City, Liverpool, United, Chelsea in any which order. It's going to be flipped around. Like United had signed 3 top players in Europe. Like they just thought it was done for them. You have Arsenal. You have that complete capitulation of Oli being sacked, everything just going downhill, players leaving, the squad being tiny, also competing in Europe. That was just a lot for them to take on. Even the whole Greenwood thing. You've also got Leicester, who have always been in and about top 4. They would normally actually be in the top 4 spot right now, and then bottle it on the final day themselves. And those are just 2 clubs.
Well, this isn't us being bits. Look, Sam, we've got previous shows. We did a Premier League show back in October. We actually even did an Arteta show where he talked about the likelihood of them getting fourth place. And we explain the reasons why. That still doesn't make him any better. It's a case of actually it's the perfect storm for Arsenal. Now you should finish fourth. There shouldn't be anything holding you back. You haven't got the distractions. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of celebrations. I think quite stupidly, and I think this whole bullshit narrative about Project Restart and all that crap, where we've had to start from scratch. How have you had to start from scratch? Well, because you've got 2 new fullbacks and a goalkeeper. What is this? So actually, come to think of it, Tierney is the first choice. So which Ramsdale who's come in and has done well, to be fair to him. Tomiyasu, Ben White. Granit Xhaka was there before.
Yep.
El Neni, who was, by the way, completely thrown on the bus by Arsenal fans, as not good enough. He's still there. Saka's note is not exactly new. ESR, well, okay, he's probably getting more opportunity under Arteta, but he wasn't new. He was playing under Emery in the Europa League. Odegaard is probably more of an Arteta-based recent thing. And Lacazette's always been there. He's been there. And I'm pretty sure, quote me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure Nketiah and people like that were in Europa League, integrated by Emery. So it's not as drastic as people make out. This whole project. It's just what's the project? All it's been is an evolution of football with no distractions. Everyone's talking about some big revolution that's happened at the Emirates.
One thing people also do need to point out is Arteta has made some horrid choices. He's made some horrid choices.
In what respect? In
certain games, he's done stuff that is extremely questionable, like the game he played Xhaka at left back. So you lose Partey, and your solution is to now get rid of your next one of your best midfielders this season and move them out of a position because they're left-footed. That's your solution. Because you don't trust Tavares, someone who you scouted and bought. So you've now made these signings and chosen these players, and like even Cedric Suarez, all these players, he's agreed to have these players at his club. So now complain about them. It's like it has to be put on him. And I'm hearing Arsenal fans say, "Oh, he overrides Edu's choices. Edu wanted this player and that player," and he said no because they were dumb transfers. So you're literally saying that Arteta wanted these players. He's asked for these players, and now look what's happened.
Yeah.
Like before those 2 wins, you just lost 3 on the bounce. Like this kind of stuff is not going to be sustainable next season. Even if you buy new players, because let's say you're not going to be able to spend like you did last summer, because the quality of players that you need to buy are going to be higher. Next season, we're now going to have potentially like what's called you're going to have European comps as well, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Premier League. You're going to be competing on all fronts, and what's the point of being in Champions League if you're not going to compete? Are you literally just going to be there for the money? Which is basically what Wenger did for 10 years. So you've now essentially have progressed nowhere since 2008. 10 plus years, and you've literally gone back to being where you were 10 years ago. Like what's the point? Like just to get knocked out again, maybe even if you're lucky, to get put into Europa League, because we know UEFA are looking at Bayern Munich versus Arsenal and thinking, oh, this is going to be a great one. You think players like Gabriel and Ben White are going to stand up to the likes of like Gnabry, Leroy Sané, Lewandowski if he still stays, whoever comes in if he goes, to Thomas Müller, all these players, and you think they're cooking us up to like giants of Europe, you are going to get absolutely destroyed. And things UEFA will make sure you get destroyed because it makes them money. So
it's
an uphill battle. It's a massive uphill battle.
This whole these guys getting a bit too crazy about Champions League, saying, "Oh, we're back," and this, that, and the other. Let's be real. You're not back at the table. You never really were at the table. I'll tell you what Arsenal are. They're the dog waiting for the scraps. The food that people don't want, they'll just put down to you. That's you at the table. You're just pleased to be there like the dog because you might get a treat or two. That's about it. And reality is gonna dawn on you guys soon. But it's interesting that we'll talk about Europe and Champions League because this clown, Emery and everything like that. This fool, this dead manager. What's he done since? He's this guy's won in Europa League. He's on a semi-final of the Champions League with Villarreal. This is what happens when you actually give him the tools and the respect to do things. Actually, in Europe, he is quite helpful. He's a handy guy. He literally.
Yeah, he's not doing it with like world class players as well. Like he's in a much better team. These aren't world class players. These are just his type of players.
He's doing this with Premier League footballers who got lost in the Bermuda Triangle. There's some names that I've seen. I was like, hang on, I swear I played with this guy in like FIFA 10. What's going on here? What is? Damn, I'm still playing football. Like he's doing it with that team.
With Coquelin, Capu, Juan Foyth from Spurs. Spurs just released him to win a trophy at Villarreal, which is hilarious to me. Like,
I'll tell you what, if you're on one of those North London teams, man, and you're considered a dead player, just leave, go to Villarreal. Emery will sort you out. He'll get you a European trophy.
Honest to God, because like before Emery, did anyone even know who they were? Like, I just saw their badge. I was thinking, oh, that's a really nice badge. It's just a fancy badge. Like, but they've literally won nothing until they beat United, which was very painful to watch. But you have to give credit where credit is due.
Well, who'd they beat in the semi-final?
Exactly.
Isn't that the debate over already? Who did he beat in the semi-final? Arsenal fans, who was your manager?
Yeah. And people are going to say injuries, etc., this, that. You still have a better team. Even still...
The same players that they chased out, like Coquelin, never good enough. The same players that they bantered, with Spurs and Foyth and Capoue and people like that and all these dead players. You mean those guys?
Yeah. And then look at them now that have now actually beaten Bayern Munich. Like that's a massive upset, and everyone can talk about
with a Bournemouth reject.
Like they've got a guy who can't even they've got Chukwueze who's scoring goals. The guy can barely start for Nigeria now. Who didn't even make the World Cup, and the guy is now scoring goals against Bayern Munich. This is he's actually doing an incredible job, and if he wins that Champions League, it is not likely. But if the stars align, if the moon turns red or purple or whatever, and he magically now wins the Champions League, what would you say then? If that would have been a manager who you deemed as a banterman, not good enough, all this, etc., has now gone to Europe and literally won both titles, and in that time you haven't even been there. Like you're not even actually there to even compete against him. And next season comes around, trust me, if he wins that next season, I can already see your Champions League group. I'm seeing Villarreal, I'm seeing like Arsenal, Bayern Munich, Villarreal, and then maybe someone like
I'm pretty sure actually that would be an interesting stat if anyone could pull this up for me. But
yeah,
if he did win the Champions League, and this is a big if because let's be real, the form that Liverpool, City, and
oh yeah,
Real Madrid have been in is madness. But if they did win the Champions League,
mm,
isn't that like the last manager to do that? Win what was your UEFA Cup of Europa League to then win a Champions League? Wouldn't that have been like Benitez? Back in, I think he won with Valencia even
mm,
in like 2003, 2004, Liverpool 2004, 2005 in Champions League. I can't think of many managers who even done that.
mm.
But there's another disrespected manager. He's not fashionable, him. But look at all the trophies that he has won accumulated. So even won a Europa League with Chelsea and still hated.
And you
Anyway,
know what? I'm gonna give Arteta respect where respect is due because he did come into Arsenal as it was a mess. There were a lot of things that needed redoing, and yes, he's made some mistakes, but for them to actually be in this position, because at the start of the season, they were down in the relegation zone, fighting off like the likes of like Norwich and Watford somehow, and they've now gone from being down there to almost securing a top four spot and being in Champions League next season. That is somewhat impressive for a young manager. There's nothing I can actually say against Arteta as a manager in terms of what he has achieved himself. However, this is not the Arsenal standard. And there are a lot of fans that are just accepting this, like this is their new level. Like I feel like this is why I say that Arsenal fans don't have a lot of self-respect. It's a matter of self-respect. This is like what you're celebrating now: cheap wins over clubs, a cheap win over Chelsea that means nothing in the grand scheme of things.
But you know what's interesting though? I think what you just said in terms of the fragility in this Arsenal team, if certain players aren't there, they lose games.
Yeah.
So this is where investment is so important. It's integral, in fact, because if they don't get the players and certain key men are out, they lose games. They drop points. It's there to be seen. Like. I think the fact that Manchester United's demise this season has kind of like just masked all of Arsenal's problems, and there still are problems. I said this on the Twitter Spaces, and I was quite honest with Arsenal fans, and there was just EGTV and stuff on the Twitter Spaces. I was like, hang on, you're getting really giddy about this. You've lost 11 games this season. Like, how good has your season been if you've lost 11 games? Now, it's convenient that they want to talk about then how great and how competitive the Premier League is. But your season's either been good or it hasn't. Like, it's 11 games you've lost. There's probably over 2/3 that they haven't actually won. And that's the bit that it needs to improve on. Well, I'm not expecting them to be up there with a Man City or Liverpool. Those two are doing crazy things, and no one can really keep up at this moment in time. But those defeats should be halved. 11 defeats. You should probably be looking at more 6. That's mad. That's not a good standard. That's a poor standard. Spurs have been poor too. Manchester United have been woeful. They've been so woeful, and I think what's the point? What's the point? 6 points before this weekend. It was 3. That you want to say that this is like the greatest team, compared to Manchester United, who are the worst team. And there's like a 3-point now 6-point difference. Have some self-respect. Come on, stop trying to hide behind these new projects and everything like that. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. That should be the bottom line. You guys, regardless of any team that you have, should be fighting for that top 4 spot. You're not going to get first. You're not going to get second. But anything below that is up for grabs, irrespective of the team.
And to put it in perspective, because this is supposedly Arteta's best season. Emery's first season, he had 10 losses. 10 losses. Like, literally, he's got, I'm pretty sure he had 10 losses and maybe 21 wins. You're not going to improve on the losses front because you're going to lose, like you've lost 11 games. You can't get better from here, but you're now like getting hyped. Like you could possibly end up with a lower points total than that season.
But they don't want to know.
Everyone else looks worse. You look like you're high position.
But they don't want to know. They don't want to know. And that's the thing. They don't want to know. Emery season, 10 defeats. Not saying that was incredible either, but you got someone who's had more defeats. Yeah, let's give them the applause. Sorry guys, it is uncomfortable here, but that's the whole point.
And to be fair, there is something to be said about Emery's Emery's league form, because his league form has never been very good. Like he's the same guy that lost the league twice, I'm pretty sure, in France with PSG. So we can't even act like this guy in the league is somewhat woeful. Very good. Atrocious. Like he's the same. Like right now, I'm pretty sure he's in the top 4 in race as well. With not really looking to win it though, or not even really close. Because I'm pretty sure can't even. He's like 9 points off now. Very good. Atrocious. But if he does win the Champions League, everything flips on its head, and now it's more impressive. Looking to win it though, or not even really. And like all it takes in football, just like that one win, that one trophy, and then everything now just looks completely different. Because we've seen Chelsea even win a Champions League, and where they placed. You can't this whole thing of just league position is not enough to show progression, because we've even seen with United, we went from 3rd to 2nd. Next season, capitulation. So I want to hear from Arsenal fans, do you think that there is something tangible there, something to build on? Do you think that this summer there'll be enough done to have you guys staying in top 4, maybe even trying to get closer to the likes of Arsenal, of Liverpool and City, while also competing in Europe?
I think, Sam, to be honest, this is definitely a conversation that we should continue into next week. Certainly on things like you're on Twitter, and even on IG and stuff, because ultimately these Arsenal fans are trying to hide. They're being cowardly about it. I think what we need to do is lure them in, and do a space of saying, congratulations Arsenal. Get the emojis out celebrating, and then when it all coming in, looking for their certificates, we go bam. Is he better than Emery? And because that's the thing, they're hiding. And this is always the case with them. They're hiding when the harsh truths come, and that's the reality of it. What has actually been that much better? You just celebrate. All you've done is just celebrate Man United's demise. That's all you've done, and you've ignored what still needs to be done, and a fair bit needs to be done with Arsenal.
Yeah, and there's going to be an issue in regards to next season. United are going to, Ragnick saying that 10 players are going to be bought. 10 players are going to be bought at United. That's going to be a whole rebuild in Ten Hag. We don't know what could happen with that. Leicester aren't going to be as bad as this season. They've had a horrible season in terms of injuries. West Ham are still looking to get on the up. They might be in Champions League as well. You've got so many different teams. You've got even Newcastle that are going to stay up and then spend how much money trying to get up there in the Premier League. They might be fighting. You've got Wolves who are looking to ascend. You've got even Brighton that might be looking. If Brighton get a clinical striker, the whole league becomes different. I know I talk about Brighton a lot, but the amount of chances their career, get a decent striker, it becomes long for other clubs. And you've got many other teams. You've got a team like Aston Villa as well looking to build, and you're going to be competing with all of them in the league, not just for points, for players as well. Because Premier League teams aren't poor anymore; they get over 100 mils to spend each.
Yeah.
So they're going to be spending a lot of money, and then now you've got to compete for the same players, because you can't be getting like these unknown players, expecting them to go immediately into Champions League and do well. You need to buy some established players. So you're going to be competing for these established players. So let's say you need a backup defensive midfielder, but you're looking to come to fight against half the teams in Europe. If a team catches whiff that you're trying to buy like a Kamara on a free, and then you see Chelsea coming in, you see PSG come in, you see all these teams come in, and you're thinking, oh wow, this is a bit like we have so much competition, and are you going to be able to compete on the money front as well as a footballing front as well? It's going to be a very, very, very difficult time for a lot of teams to actually try and compete against you, to try and compete for Europe next season, and thinking that this is just like going to go up from here is borderline delusion, because it's going to be very difficult. Don't be surprised if you're back down in 8th, maybe worse next season, when a lot of teams have now rebuilt, or a lot of teams are now on the up, or doing this, doing that, and like the fact that there's so many Arsenal fans on the Twitter spaces, on Discord servers, on YouTube, saying that this season is now showing that, oh, we're the best team in. I'm pretty sure last season we heard this whole thing of, oh, since January we were the best team. Like, oh, if the Premier League season started in January, we would have won the whole Premier League. Do you hear the kind of nonsense that comes out of your mouth sometimes? And honestly, what you're doing to Arteta is you're going to put too much pressure on him to actually do something that he probably can't do, or he's going to struggle to do. Get upset when he's struggling or doesn't do it, and then he gets sacked, and the whole cycle repeats itself again. And you still got these cronkies. It's not, the cronkies are still there. You guys still hate them. They're still there. What's really going to happen? It's actually a lot of question marks that they're not willing to actually say. And I'm actually shocked that no one has come to back their club. It shows like the spinelessness of their fans, and how they feel so scared to actually address some of their real issues about their club, because they'll be willing to be around for like the cheap wins, the cheap 1-0s. Oh, we beat Chelsea. Yeah, well, Chelsea have made 2 finals. One that they probably got robbed in, and another one that they're doing next season. Last season, they just won a Champions League, and now they're looking to actually buy more players in summer and improve to actually compete for a title with one of the best managers in Europe right now. But you're going to get hyped over your 4-2 win against their C team.
Yeah.
Come on, look at yourselves for a second. This is absolutely shocking, and I really want to see Arsenal sometimes like do decently. I don't want to see them do well. I want to see them actually, because I appreciated those times when I was a kid, seeing Chelsea, Arsenal, United all competing for Premier League titles, all in and around the top, and to actually see the state of your club and what it's become, and the fact that the fans are still holding on to this whole like, oh, we can just hope and not do anything about it, is absolutely, it's just absolutely sad to me. It's honestly sad.
Yeah. No, I think it's fair enough, man. I think that's fair enough.
Any thoughts?
I think, to be honest, I think we've addressed all the points. I'm not sure if anything else needs to be said. For me, my only interest is next season. Is this summer and next season? Because they'll be in Europe irrespective. Yeah. So whether it's Champions League, Europa League, and best they get good recruitment because they'll have to pad their squad out. They'll have to get 5 other players. They definitely need a striker. I think it's absolute nonsense because I think it feels like Lacazette is going.
Yeah.
So Nketiah, who is also going. So unless they're going to convince him that he's the main guy, and if he's going to be the main guy, then that's just a madness. So you're strikerless, brilliant. So you need to get 2 strikers, unless Martinelli now is the answer, which he isn't. So yeah, good luck. As I said, I hope you get that right investment, Arsenal fans. I really do, because it's going to be painful if you don't, and you're going to feel the same anxiety and PTSD that you did under Wenger and all the Bayern Munich games, etc., etc. It is what it is, but we shall see. We shall see. As I was told, I don't have a crystal ball. Well, no, but football is kind of predictable. If you don't invest in teams, if you don't build in squads, you tend to do shit. Teams who aren't particularly, don't have big squads, who go into Europe, have struggled. We've seen every single team, as I said, Leicester. We've seen Leicester do it. West Ham are struggling. They're currently in latter stages of Europe. Even like your Rangers, for crying out loud, they're not particularly doing great in their domestic league, yet they've got their European commitments. There is a trade-off. There's always a trade-off, and Arsenal don't have that plush squads that your Cities have, your Chelseas have, the Liverpools are starting to build on. Even United, even regardless of United having a crap season or not, it's tiny compared to those teams. Them and Spurs, it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah. And I'm also actually seeing some actually great points in the comments. I'm seeing Cos says you can build, but Arteta is not a manager that has got UCL experience of managing at the magnitude of what Pep and Klopp has. That's a very good point. The fact that Arteta has no Champions League experience to go into a competition that with some of the best managers in world football. Like these are the creme de la creme of managers.
Yeah, well, the same fans that are doing old super chants on social media, gassing this guy. They'll be the first ones to throw him under the bus. They'll be the first ones to throw him under the bus. I'm not going to name names. You guys know who these people are. These prominent Arsenal fans who disappear when it's convenient and then like to come up when they win. You know who they are. I'm not going to name names, but they will see. We all see. They'll be the first ones to throw him under the bus and say, "I never supported this guy." Wait and see next year. But that's what I'm going to say. That's me out.
Yeah. Another comment from Spliff Politics. Arsenal gained an advantage twofold. One, the teams that they're competing with for UCL football have bottled it, which is very true. And 2, they've played 1 match a week for the majority of the season. One thing we actually haven't mentioned, which is a very important fact, was when the injuries hit and it was looking bad for them, they used the loophole around the COVID rule with the 1 COVID case to say they don't have 13 senior players, postpone all our games. So you had the you had the 1 game a week, and then you postponed games, and then you had Arteta then complaining that you had fixture congestion later. And I'm just laughing but you asked for them to postpone games. They have deadlines to meet. They need to actually be able to put them somewhere. You have to complete this season, I think, by May 20 something, so that they've got time for Champions League and Europa League fixtures.
Yeah, well, there's always these COVID conspiracies, aren't there? I think similar was said about Man City, and then look at the run of games that they had following that. For me, there is a clear competitive advantage. That's not being bitter. That's just showing, actually, you look at the teams who've had the breaks, and then you look at the subsequent form straight after that break. There's always an upshot. There's always a bounce from these teams. Man City went on a 20-game winning run after being so up and down.
Yeah.
Arsenal went on a very good run, and then what happened? Injuries came, and then they started losing games. They lost like 3 on the bounce. So, yeah, but that's it. That's I think that's a really good point with COVID. But yeah, I think in terms of all the other points, I think that's already been addressed.
Yeah, I think that's all been addressed, guys. In the comments, just say your opinions, what you think. Do you think next season Arsenal is going to be like a big team to contend with? Do you think that they could maybe challenge for the league? I don't, but some people might think so. There was a Instagram post that I saw a while ago that like someone said Arsenal were like 1 or 2 signings away from competing for the Premier League, which is ludicrous to me. It's ludicrous for me to actually see. Then, do you think that the Arsenal are better off post Emery or not? We've even seen Emery come out and say that Arsenal have literally just continued what he started. So is anything really changed? Is it really a big difference? And yeah, that's it. Now, I think that's a great place to actually end it. It's a great place to end it. On here, all your comments. We're going to be in the Twitter Spaces all week. So don't worry. I'm going to be there to cook the Arsenal fans. The delusion must stop. It's actually like it's actually sad to see. I'm going to be handing out therapy sessions next season as well. When you guys are down bad and actually need the emotional support of knowing how it feels to actually be a big club competing and not actually having the facilities to actually compete. I'll be there for you. I'm honestly handing out my hand for you. And yeah, like next week, we're gonna have another show. It's gonna be a good one. It's been a great time this week. Thank you, Jinky, for your words and all your comments. And any last points you want to give off?
Yeah, next week's gonna be a banger. No, I'm not going to say what the specific title is, but I feel like it's within Liverpool fans' interest. I feel it's within Man City fans' interest. And I feel if any Man United fans still have any self-respect, it'll be also within your interest what this topic will be. So be on the lookout for that next week because, there's going to be a real uncomfortable truth with this one.
It sounds like a little bit of a spicy one there. A little bit of a spicy one. Well then, it's been a great time as always, Jinky. It's always nice getting to get your comments on things. It's been lovely to have the comments here. You guys have been massive with the support. We always appreciate it. But remember to always leave a like, subscribe, and share to all your friends, all on the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the Twitters, everywhere. Follow us on social media at Jinky Knows and at Dr. Who Sam 7, which is me. And we'll see you next week. Goodbye.